Hello friends, greetings of the day. In the third unit of your course, that is Health, Nature and Concepts, you have studied the important dimension of health, that is physical, mental and emotional. Usually when we refer to health, we ignore the two important dimensions of health, that is emotional and mental. Now, keeping this in view, in this module, we will discuss stress, its nature, various sources of stress, how stress affects environment of the organization and individual, and we will learn various strategies to cope with the menace of stress. Now, prerequisite of this course is to define the concept of stress, to identify various environmental, organizational, group and personal stressors, to discuss various consequences of stress, to learn various strategies to manage stress at individual as well as organizational level. Prerequisite of this module is that students should be well aware about the three dimensions of health, that is physical, mental and spiritual. Now, concept and nature of stress. Today we are living in a very demanding and challenging world. Family, workplace and society demands a lot from an individual. Demands are basically performance expectation in office, society and family responsibility. These demands are fulfilled through resources, that is physical resources, skills and financial resources. If these resources fall short to meet the demands, stress occurs to the individual. Thus, stress can be defined response of the body when any demand is raised upon it. Stress is a condition in which an individual confronts an opportunity or challenge whose result is uncertain and crucial. The concept of stress can be traced from natural sciences, that is force, pressure or strain. When an individual confronts stress, its body prepares itself to restore its balance. In such situation, body releases specific hormones to prepare body for the action to either fight, flight or flow. Thus, stress is the body's consistent effort to restore its balance. Various researchers have studied different levels of stress. Low level of stress causes casualness and mistakes at the ground level, whereas very high level of stress causes fatigue and frustration. Thus, it is said that moderate level of stress may motivate the individual to perform and do excellent in various situations, such as a car racer and a dancer on the floor. They face a moderate kind of stress, then their performance will improve. If they face very high stress, then their morale and enthusiasm will go down. Thus, it is said that moderate level of stress is productive for the individual as well as organization. Now, cumulative nature of stress. Stress is not a standalone concept. Stress emanates from various sources such as personal, professional, environmental. Thus, these various sources of stress, they add up, and the total amount of stress affects the individual's performance. Thus, we need to understand that the
a single stress source may not affect individual performance, but when it adds up and it persists for a long time, this stress certainly affects the health and psychology of the person concerned. Now, various sources of stress. Stress stems from various sources, that is environmental, organizational, group and personal. Environmental factors. Basically, we believe that organization will exist in an environment. Various factors such as social, economic, technological factors affects the stress level of an individual. For example, if some technology changes and the individual is not trained in it, he or she will feel stress because he may face competition within the office. Organizational factors affect the stress level through various factors such as administrative policies, strategies, leadership, working condition, task demand and role demand. We work in an organization and organizational policies such as retrenchment policy, pay package policies, these affect individual stress. Sometimes it affects positively and sometimes it affects negatively. So organization need to understand that whenever they prepare some policy, they need to discuss with the individuals working with them, and when individuals are consulted, they feel more comfortable with these strategies and policies. Leadership affects to a large extent. If leader is very autocratic, certainly stress level increases, and if leader is benevolent and democratic, then stress level reduces. Working conditions such as heat, humid, crowded area, this kind of condition prevails in the organization, certainly stress will enhance. And if the organization is neat and clean, the sitting arrangements, sitting stations, working stations are comfortable, then certainly the stress level of the individual will decline. Task demand. Various tasks demands various level of stress. For example, the stress level of a firefighter, a soldier on the border are high than simply a clerk in the organization. Now, type A and B personality profile persons who perform better. It is said that type A people rise very fast in the organization hierarchy. During this rise, certainly they win from their competitors. Sometimes they lose social capital during this process. When they rise at the top, they feel difficult to sustain at the highest level, because highest level in the organization requires cool and calm personality. Taking totality of the things in view, which type A people lacks. Type B people rises in the organization hierarchy little slow than type A people, but when they rise at the top, they are more likely to sustain at the top level because they have a very cool and calm and composed personality. Now, personal control also affects a person's stress in the organization. Personal control means a person should realize that he can control the organizational environment and the task related policies to a large extent. When he feels so, his stress level declines. But when these policies are made without consulting the employees, their stress level enhances because they feel lack of personal control. Another dimension to measure risk is life changes unit, LCU. In fact, in a person's life, many good and bad events occurs. For example, marriage of an individual, getting blessed with a baby, strained relation with the spouse, as well as major accident. These life changes affects stress level of individual. Each life changes event is given a particular value, positive or negative, and these values are added. Thus, if life changes units occurs more in a particular year, then certainly the person is likely to have some disorders in the coming years. Now, life trauma. Life trauma is a major setback in a person's life, such as occurring some major disease to the spouse. This will certainly change the complete philosophy of the person, thought of the person regarding how to do the things in life. Thus, organizations need to understand if their employees are passing such situation. Career development also affect in two ways. First, whether the person is facing job security all the time. They may be fired. The company is planning to have some retrenchment policy. Thus, they face risk. And secondly, employees feel stress all the time because they have to continuously compete with their peers for the next promotion. Thus, these personal factors affect the stress level of individual.
Consequences of stress on individual as well as organization are very important to understand, because accordingly we have to design various strategies to cope up with it. Now, impact of stress on individual. Stress level affects the performance and behavior of individual to a large extent. Its consequences are physiological, psychological, and behavioral. An individual who faces acute stress may have various kind of diseases such as headache, backache, ulcer, heart disease, and strokes. Thus, the person need to be very careful regarding these symptoms of any of these diseases. Psychological consequences. The person who faces acute stress, they tend to develop psychological disorders, such as sometimes they face anger, anxiety. Thus, they may sometimes develop psychological disorders which badly affect their performance. Consequences of stress is also reflected on the behavior of the individuals. A person who faces stress sometimes becomes violent, and this behavior affects them as well as the other colleagues in the organization. Thus, organization need to be very careful that if their individuals, their employees are facing such consequences, they need to understand it. Now, the impact of individual stress also have some consequences for the organization. A person who is facing stress will certainly withdraw himself from the situation. Thus, absenteeism and low productivity prevails in the organization. Now, the person who faces stress level and the morale level is down, they may take some time wrong decision. It leads to delays and defects in products. Thus, organization need to understand that whenever they find such symptoms, they need to counsel their employees. By now, we have discussed concept of stress, various sources of stress, how stress affect individual and organization. Now we need to understand how to manage this stress, because stress is very painful for the individual and very harmful for the organization as a whole. Individual as well as organization both spent a lot of time, energy in order to manage stress. Now, managing stress at organization level. Stress can be controlled if organization makes role clarity. Role clarity means the person who is working should be very clear how to do, when to do, from where to get the resources. If the role is clear to employee, they will work with full enthusiasm and certainly stress level will be low. Regular and formal communication with employees enhances the cordial relationship in the organization and certainly it reduces stress level of employees. Work family initiative is very important. Lot of stress comes from family issues. If organization consider employees' family as their own family and they bring some initiatives such as flexible work hours, managing crèche near the organization or in the organization, taking care of employees' children education, if such steps are taken, certainly the stress level of employees can be managed. Employee assistance programs are run by various companies. In this program, they train their employees how to manage stress. Employee assistance program. In these programs, companies train their employees to reduce their stress level by help of trained counselors. Companies also provide financial planning training for career development so that employees feel less stressed in order to serve the organization. There are many member assisted programs. These are same as employee assisted programs. The only difference is that these programs are run by the trade union and financially supported by the organization. Organizations also manage various stress management and wellness programs. In these programs, employees are trained in yoga, pranayam, exercise, hobbies, etc. Thus, employees feel that they have some time for their own life, and these programs are very useful for reducing stress level of employee. Now, stress management strategies adopted by individuals. Time management is very important for any individual. Most of the stress comes from mismanagement of time. Time is a very precious resource and it cannot be regenerated. That is why individuals need to learn how to manage their time effectively so that they can have perfect balance between professional growth and family life. Thus, the individual should train themselves in time management. This will help them to a large extent. Yoga, exercise and pranayama. These are very relaxing activities which provides a platform to exert their stress and to have more and more concentration in their personal and professional task. Seek social support. Social support is very important social capital. Whenever an individual face stress and exhausted, they always seek some avenue where they can discuss their issues and find support. Thus, employees should make their own social networking through which they can seek support. Managing leisure time effectively. Employees need to learn, understand how leisure time can be used effectively. This is in fact part of time management. Cognitive therapy enables employees to enhance their efficacy, self-efficacy. If self-efficacy enhances, certainly employees feel motivated. So, friends, in today's discussion, we discussed stress, its nature, causes, its impact on individual as well as organization, and finally, the strategies how to manage this stress. I'm sure that we all are feeling stress in our everyday's life and it is not going to stop. It is the only matter of how to manage it, how to face it. Thank you.